Yes, I'm Steve Garratt. I'm acquired brain injury advisor and survivor for Athena Case Management. My life before the brain injury, I was very much a subdued person. Um, I wouldn't I wouldn't particularly socialise with people I didn't know. If I was to walk into a pub and I didn't know anybody, I would quite happily sit in the corner. I would go out and have a little bit of a dance sometimes or some things, but I was very much a quiet person. I didn't I didn't want to mix with other members of the community. I was very much in on myself. I I started to get headaches um, about 2 weeks prior to my incident. Um, I went to the doctor's and he says I needed to take two paracetamols every 4 hours. Um, so I went away and I started taking two paracetamols every 4 hours. Um, that done absolutely nothing at all. So, sort of 3 days later, I went back to the doctor's. I said, "Doctor, my head is still absolutely pounding. Is there anything?" He says, "Okay, take two paracetamols every 3 hours." I says, "Okay." And so I come away and I started taking two paracetamols every 3 hours. I ended up going back to the doctor's another two times after that. And each time, all he ever done was increase my dose of paracetamols. In the end, he turned around to me and says, "For 12 hours, I want you to take two paracetamols every hour." He says, "If that does absolutely nothing, come back and we'll send you for some tests." And I went back to work. I was working a steel foundry. I was straightening these big long steel bars, and it was a metal with a metal hammer on a metal block. So you can imagine the ringing was quite intense, and it was going absolutely through my ears, and it felt like somebody was beating my brain inside. So I went upstairs. I said to my bosses, "I'm sorry," I said, "but I can't. I just can't carry on anymore." I said, "My head is absolutely killing me." To which she replied, "Bloody hell, Steve, you must be dying." Because I never had a day off. I always went to work. I lived for work. That was my be all and end all in life, was going to work. So I jumped in the car, I drove home, I phoned the missus on the way home and says, "I'm coming home." To which she replied, "Bloody hell, you must be poorly if you've coming home." I walked through the front door, I walked upstairs, the blood vessel in the side of my head popped, and I collapsed and died. I spent 3 weeks in a coma. When I came out of the coma, I was totally paralysed, completely. Um, a week went by, and my left hand side had started to twitch. Prior to this, the doctors had already been told, my mum and dad, the chances of me ever walking again or moving any part of my body were around about 80%. But my left hand side started twitching. No sooner it started twitching, I got used back in my arm, my leg, and literally all of the left hand side of my body became mobile. Um, the doctors then come and told my mum and dad that the chances of me moving on my right side, because that was the side of my bleed, were around about 83%. Not a lot at all. So, which obviously, very much upset them. But I was propped up in bed one day, and my missus, she had come, and two of my friends were at the base of the bed, talking, and my speech was very quiet and very, very slurred. When I talked, it was like my tongue was 3 times the size it should be. Like this. So, and I wanted a drink, and I'm trying to tell my missus and my friends that I wanted this drink, and I could see this can of Coke on the right hand side of me, but I couldn't grab it. And I'm shouting that I wanted a can of Coke, but all it's coming out like is and they couldn't hear me, not with everything that was going on in the ward. So I shouted a few times, but when they finally did look around, I was already in a strop then. I was like, not listening to me. But, so I picked my right arm up and I threw it at this can of Coke. It fell down. So I picked it back up again and I threw it again. Now, this went on for probably 5 or 10 minutes, me throwing my arm out. And all of a sudden, it just stopped out there. And I managed to grab hold of this can of Coke, and I picked it up and brought it back. And as I'm bringing it back, they see me. Of course, they're screaming, "He's moved his right hand side, he's moved his right hand side." The nurses come running in. "What's all the screaming about?" He says, "He's moved his right hand side." And I open this can of Coke. I'm drinking this can of Coke. It's the best can of Coke in the world ever. Nothing has ever tasted better. And I'm drinking it, I'm thinking, oh God, this is fantastic. The best can of Coke ever. And the doctor came in and he kicked everybody out. He did some tests and everything moved. My arms, my legs, my elbows, shoulders, everything. He says, the doctor sat on my bed and he sat, I don't know, probably round about probably a foot away from me. And he was right in my face. He says, "Steve," he says, "do you know why you can move?" I looked at him and says, "No, doctor." He says, "I will tell you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. The only reason you could move, Steve, is because you're a stubborn bastard." And that was his exact words to me. Yeah? And he left. My partner came back in and I says, the doctor says I can walk. Got to help me out of bed and I can walk. I took 3 steps. That to help me out to bed. I couldn't take no more. I was absolutely had it. All I wanted to do was sleep then. And that was what happened directly after us.